Recently, I went back to play Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005 because I had never played the game before, and I was big into games like Carbon and Underground and other franchises of racing games, but Most Wanted was a game that always kind of flew under my radar. But this video isn't about Most Wanted 2005, it's about Most Wanted 2012. Most Wanted 2012, which I will now be calling Diet Most Wanted, was not the game that fans of the franchise thought they would be getting. It didn't have any kind of story, very basic customization, and only 3 events, which were just copy and paste versions of the exact same style of racing. And the big thing that made Most Wanted, the Blacklist was seemingly a slapped on feature in a game that it didn't really belong in. And come to think of it, why are there no car dealerships? Why can I repair and change the color of my car by driving through these little garage shops? Why are there abandoned supercars literally every other block that I can just open up and drive with the Flipper Zero? What the fuck is going on? Is this even Need for Speed anymore? And that's what brings me to my point for this video. Diet Most Wanted is not a Need for Speed game. And no, I am not the Shadow Man speaking sweet nothings into your ear on a Benadryl bender. So, Most Wanted was first revealed as a leak from the South African games retailer BT Games, who have also leaked, I shit you not, Mass Effect 3, the God of War remake at the very start of its development, and the Jak and Daxter collection as far as my knowledge, and they may have leaked even more games, which is wild. Once EA finally revealed that Criterion would be developing the next Need for Speed game, fans wondered whether or not it would be the end of the Burnout series, and creative director Craig Sullivan had this to say. It's more of a case of wanting to get Need for Speed back on its feet after last year. Everything we know about open world driving, just piling it together. All the best stuff about Burnout and everything we did in Hot Pursuit, we're just smashing them together. What I didn't mention though is that when BT Games leaked Diet Most Wanted, they didn't call it Most Wanted 2012. They called it Most Wanted 2. And after some deep diving on the internet, I found this. This is gameplay of what would have been Most Wanted 2. A January build, to be exact, mind you. Diet Most Wanted came out in October, which was only 9 months later. The logos are different, the piss filter is there in all of its glory, something in the menu called Most Wanted Mobile, which after some more Googling, I can only seem to find the Most Wanted mobile game, so I'd have to assume that even back when this game was supposed to be Most Wanted 2, it was still gonna have a mobile version, so there's definitely some EA slop still hidden within what would have been Most Wanted 2. It kind of makes you wonder if it might have been a good thing that we never got a game that touted itself to be a sequel, because it would have gotten way more hate if what we got was the canonical sequel of Most Wanted. The map for Most Wanted 2 went through a bunch of different changes, and by the end had a massive section on the top right of the map cut out to eventually get the Fairhaven that we see now in game. The UI also completely changed to make it match the style of Diet Most Wanted's very clean, almost corporate look. The entire game had a different vibe and style compared to what we actually got. Entire features and missions and gameplay got ripped. Shit like the arc light device, which would make cars around you lose control or crash, or this flirt cam, which is kind of weird but whatever, all got ripped out. By the end of it, the Burnout franchise was dead. The game lost massive sections of the map. The entire story got ripped out, and we got what I'm arguing isn't actually that bad. And here's why. Diet Most Wanted, when you break it down into a bunch of what ifs and could haves, is incredibly disappointing. But if you look at what we actually got and call it something different, it's actually pretty cool. Something I couldn't stop saying to myself while playing Most Wanted just over a decade later is that this is genuinely a game about people who just like cars. and want to test a bunch of them out and do crazy car stuff. Nothing you could do with Most Wanted now though would make it a finished game without features and overhauls to the gameplay we currently have. No customization in a Need for Speed game is just absolutely absurd. No real tuning parts, no real garage to go into, there's no drift events, there's no drag events. So much stuff is missing here. Because EA got into a greed-fueled rush, Diet Most Wanted could have been such a generational game if they would have just stuck with their original plans and released a fully fleshed out game. And now we will probably never get another Most Wanted game because they tried to pseudo test the waters of an underground style game with Unbound, and look where that got us. None of those things make Most Wanted necessarily a bad game though. Most Wanted to this day is still fun to pick up and play. It had one of the better iterations of Criterion's Break to Drift model, as bad as it is. Fairhaven is a really cool, fun, and different city that still found ways to keep the grit of the original series. The cars, if you could appreciate them in their basically stock glory, are all really cool and well modeled and fun to drive within their respective classes. The racing of Need for Speed is absolutely still here, and the cop chases are still pretty good despite not being quite as batshit insane as the other games, and especially not enough for the Most Wanted moniker. And the Burnout DNA that resides in this game doesn't make the game any worse, it's just kind of there. Diet Most Wanted could have been, in the end, the best of both Burnout and Need for Speed together, but incessant EA crunching made it to where it kind of just got elements of Need for Speed and Burnout, while not necessarily capturing the essence of either game to their full extent. I don't know. The racing game market is in a super dire spot at the moment, at least in terms of arcade racers, so going back to play games like Most Wanted 2012 or Hot Pursuit has been incredibly refreshing compared to staring blankly at the death of Unbound and the emptiness of Forza Horizon. So here's hoping that the massive companies behind these franchises finally decide to lock the fuck in, or more preferably, that an indie developer comes out of the woodworks and changes the market. But that's all I've got, and I'll see you guys later.